So here I want to do a case study, so to speak, okay, uh, of what is happiness. So on the flight back from Taiwan to the States, the film Oppenheimer was, you know, okay, so, I'm never going to get to a movie theater to watch this. So I put on my headphones and, and watched the movie. And it's so interesting when you know it's a real study of being conflicted, when your mind is conflicted about your purpose, about your ethics, about your motivation and your intention. Okay, because there's a couple of scenes that really stick in my mind. The first one is when they actually exploded the bomb at Los Alamos to see if it worked. Okay, so they were all hunkered down, and and everybody was nervous, and there was one guy sitting at the thing where he could have called it all off, and his hand is over the thumb, his thumb is over the button to call it all off, but he knows everybody wants to see if the bomb is going to, if while their work is going to, lead to this explosion, and so he doesn't call it off, and then they could do the countdown, and then boom, and and you see this huge mushroom cloud, go up, and everybody, first they're shocked, and you feel the force of the wave, of energy, and then they all cheer. Yeah, they're applauding and cheering. What we did worked. Look what we did. This is a magnificent scientific, um, you know, discovery of the energy of the atom, and we're going to use it to stop the war. And, everybody cheered. But Oppenheimer, yeah, he wasn't sure. At the beginning, he was like, because he had an idea of the damage that this kind of thing could do. Yeah. And he wasn't sure. He was shocked. And it's like, oh no, now the world is at a different place. We have the ability to destroy ourselves. What in the world have we done? So there was that going on for the first period. And then when everybody else around him is cheering, then he started cheering too. Yeah? So at first, this sense of uh, conscience, sense of uncertainty about what they had done, but then everybody else is happy. Yay, I'm going to be happy too. And he got all involved in it. But the thing is, at the end of the day, we have to live with ourselves. And it was difficult for him to live with himself. The next scene, not in the movie, but the next scene that really influenced me was, I, I, I can't remember the exact circumstance, but there was a huge audience. Yeah, anybody who's seen? Do you remember what it was? Yeah, I don't know if there was the winning of the war. Yeah, but yeah, well, he was just walking in there was a huge auditorium, and all these people were shouting, Opie, 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 because they were so proud of him and what he had done. Yeah, and it might have been, that they had won the war. Anyway, he, the film shows him before he went in, and he's like, he's not happy. Yeah, because again, you know, if it was winning the war, I mean, how many people got killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Yeah. And at that point, they didn't even know the long lasting effects of the radiation on the surrounding area. And also, they didn't know the effects of uh, exploding the bomb in um, in Los Alamos, and all the testing of the hydrogen bomb that they did in the Islands, and how that affected the health of people around. They didn't even know that at the time. They knew just, that seeing what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah. So he was, again, conflicted, what, yes, we won the war, but at what cost did we win the war? But then everybody in the auditorium, Opie, Opie, shouting for him. He walked in, everybody stood up. They're screaming, they're applauding. It's the kind of thing that, you know, anybody would love because everybody thinks you're wonderful. Yeah. And everybody thinks, yeah, you look what you did. You won the war. And then they were saying, oh, and we wish we could have done that to the Germans also. And everybody shouted again and, just so happy. And again, because of attachment to reputation and thinking that because other people thought he was wonderful, oh, okay, I'm going to dive into it too. Then he started smiling and he got involved in all of it and he felt really good temporarily. But at the end of the day, in his own heart, conflicted. Yeah. And so that just made me stop and think, really, how much does a good reputation matter when you're not at peace in your own heart? Yeah. It doesn't matter how many people think you're wonderful and applaud you and shout your name. Yeah. Because our we're living beings and we have a conscience. Yeah. And we often may bury our conscience, or we often don't even call our conscience up, our sense of ethical principles up, but they're there. Yeah. And so when we act contrary to that, there's not peace in our heart. Yeah. And we start to question, what is our purpose and what have we done? Because we see that our actions influence others. And in the sense of these scientists, their actions sure did influence others. And so we're at another point in history right now with artificial intelligence, which, like the internet, everybody was so excited. It's going to bring people together. It's going to share information. It's going to revolutionize, is that a word? Yeah, but it's going to change everything and make it so much better. This AI is fantastic. Yeah, and what do you have as a result of it? Well, yesterday I was reading an article about how they have these fake nudes of, you know, um, teenage boys are, you can take a picture of a woman or a girl at your school, and there's AI programs that can show what that person would look like if they were naked. So here's, one of your classmates, and what these boys are doing are putting things on TikTok and, Facebook and so on, of their classmates showing what they would look like naked, and these teenage girls are like going, ah, 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 it's like, yeah. And there's no control over it right now. Okay. Does this bring happiness? No. So, and then what else are we going to use AI for? This is a simple, example, but, who knows what else? Yeah. Especially when they use AI, let's say in warfare, to talk about how you should approach the enemy and what you should do to kill somebody else, using all the artificial intelligence so that you win the war, and then you make a mistake. Yeah. And, I wonder how much sometimes AI is being used in what's going on between Israel and Hamas right now. Yeah, when Israel a week or two ago bombed a some cars that were bringing food into Gaza. They were from this chef who is world kitchen, and there were like three of them. They were bringing tons of food into Gaza for people, and bombs dropped on them, and 7 aid workers were killed, and the cars and all the food were just shattered. Now, I wonder, if AI was involved in that miscalculation, you know, because Israel later said, uh, oh, there was a mistake, there was misinformation, and, our, they actually acknowledged making a mistake. But I wonder, was AI involved? So that's just my thought. I'm just talking my imagination. I'm not accusing them of anything because I don't know. Okay, but what I'm saying is that I think when we look at scientific discoveries and so on, we need to call forth our sense of morality, our sense of ethical conduct, and not just be so enhanced, what? Enchanted. Thank you. Enchanted with what we as human beings can discover about the natural world. Yeah, because if we don't think what these discoveries can be used for, and if we don't have in place uh, ethical conduct in our societal institutions, then these magnificent discoveries are going to be abused and wind up damaging people. Okay, so I think if we're talking about happiness in the long term, which involves everybody's happiness, yeah, then we have to think of the consequences of what we're doing in science. Yeah. Okay. Then the question comes, well, why should we care about everybody's happiness? Like in the film Oppenheimer, we won the war. Yippee! We won the war. This is happiness. We had we were the morally correct people. We, defeated them, blah, blah. Okay. But yeah, what were the lasting effects of those things? And were we peaceful in our own hearts? And when we harm other living beings, yeah, do we then create a peaceful society? Yeah. And having grown up in the middle of the Vietnam War, where we were told by the government that we were killing people in Vietnam so that we could all live peacefully, free of communism. And as a young person, I was going, we kill people so we could live in peace. That doesn't sound right. We're harming people so that we can be happy. Huh? How does that work? And the thing is that when we harm people, then we live surrounded by people who are miserable. When, you know, and people who are miserable let us know that they're unhappy. Yeah. So when as a society, when we don't take care of the most vulnerable people, and those people are miserable, we live in a society where we see them, where we are influenced by unhappy people. And that impinges on our own happiness. And so this is why His Holiness the Dalai Lama always says, if you want to be happy, no, he says, if you want to be selfish, if you really think that self-centeredness is the way to happiness, the best way to be happy yourself is to take care of others. Why? Because then we live near people who are happy. When we live near people who are happy, they help us. We see happy faces. Yeah, there's peace in society. When we take advantage and we act unethically, then we live near people who are unhappy. So this is coming up in the news a lot because now there's many localities are making laws against encampments of people who are homeless. Okay, so society does not take care of people when they lose their job, and so then they lose their house, or they can't pay the mortgage, or they can't pay rent. They wind up on the street. We don't take care of people with physical illnesses, with mental illnesses. They wind up on the street, and then you're surrounded by people who are unhappy. And in Seattle, last time I was there, I remember we were driving on the highway, and all by the side of the highway, there's tents, there's, homeless people sleeping outside. I was in Santa Monica, California some years ago. Again, you know, um, every people go to the beach. You think, oh, the beach, fantastic. They're homeless. They have no place to sleep. Well, now what localities are doing is they're saying the homeless people, they're getting in the way of our happiness. Yeah. And so they're making laws which criminalize sleeping on public grounds. Yeah. So they're going to start arresting people who are homeless and giving them fines. There was an interview of one woman who was homeless. She got tickets, and each ticket was for sleeping out in a park or wherever. Each ticket was $300. Now she's homeless. She can't afford a place to stay. How's she supposed to afford a $300 ticket, especially when she gets one of these every few days, for sleeping outdoors? And then people complain, well, we don't want homeless people around here, They're all going to steal things from us. They're going to harm. We have to walk over them to get into the businesses where we want to do our shopping. So you criminalize being homeless. Yeah. Now, that something is very wrong about that. When we don't take care of others, when we don't have a sense of responsibility, it adversely affects us here and now in our society right away. And then what do? Yeah, we're meaner to them instead of doing something to help them. We're meaner, and then what happens? What are they supposed to do? Then they just move from one homeless place to another and another, or they break into houses and steal because they need to get some food. Yeah. So, so what my point is in all of this is that when we act with a sense of ethical conduct, when we act with um, a sense that our actions influence others, therefore we care about others. And like His Holiness said, if you want to yourself to be happy, care about others. Yeah. If we have that kind of worldview and act accordingly, then we do things that can bring peace in other people's lives. And then just on a, a situation of this life only, we're better off. And in a sense of, in terms of the karma we create and future results that we ourselves will experience, we have a sense of peace in our own hearts because we know that we've done what we've done is something good. Yeah, and we've connected to others, and there's a feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment. Yeah, that doesn't need uh, other people's applause or awards for to feel. Um, yeah, and so helping others not only helps them, it helps ourselves. Yeah, and so that kind of sense of happiness, I think, is much more significant than the giddy happiness of, oh, I got what I wanted. Okay, so something for us all to think about.